was. How about that?
Okay. So, all those technical issues aside, thanks once again for actually sticking around for this long, people who are watching live, and for the people at home watching this not live on YouTube, thanks for watching as well. I guess introductions are in order. Once again, we have Mysterious Past, also known as
Hello.
Cat, joining us.
Hello. Again.
We have Rasmus, also known as Crown,
Yes, that's me.
joining us all the way from Sweden at probably around 3:30 in the morning now.
Yes,
So it's
that
dedication
would
to the
be
cause.
true.
And not joining us, unfortunately, because of unfortunate circumstances, but still here in spirit, we have Nate, also known as Kane, previously. And of course, there's myself, Anthony, also known as Anthony.
No one would ever guess.
No,
It was you. It's a good disguise.
complete mystery.
That's me. I'm the mysterious one.
So, it's pretty obvious that we're here to discuss Dragon Age Inquisition. Fair warning, there's going to be a lot of spoilers within. We're going to be discussing post-game, meaning all story, characters, theory, and so on. So if you haven't played through the entire game yet, I wouldn't recommend watching any further, unless you don't care whether things are spoiled for you or not, and to which, then continue. But I guess for starters, one thing that's important, especially because it's been kind of a joke for the longest time, this is your first time self-inserting, Kat?
Yes, I self-inserted, but I was an elf. So does that count?
It still counts.
Okay.
It's kind of somewhat of an inside joke because of just
Yes.
the way it sounds. But
Yes.
for anybody who doesn't know what self-inserting is, because we have had that question before,
Something
it's
you have to ask your parents about.
that's one way of going about it. But it's for anybody who kind of creates themselves in whole, either as close as they can look-wise, but also you play it as if you were in that position. That's what self-inserting is. That's typically how I play it. There's quite a few weirdos who do it that way as well.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go over our Inquisitors before we jump into a lot of the other stuff. So we'll have Kat start off.
With my self-insert is what I'm speaking about.
Yes.
Because I'm one of those people that creates many different characters at the beginning, just because I'm not sure what I'm gonna like as far as combat style. So my self-insert was a Dalish dual-wield rogue, which is pretty much my go-to starter build. So that's it. What else do you need to know?
What specialization did you go with?
Assassin.
Who did you romance? I already know the answer,
You
but
do know the answer. Okay, I'll lay it out. I'm a full-on Colonite and have been for some time since Dragon Age Origins. Sad but true. And I was fully intending to romance Colin. I was gonna do that, and then got ninja manced by Solus, and that's what happened.
he came in like a wrecking ball.
Oh, and he spoiled me for other romances too, because he is one sexy motherfucker. So, what am I gonna say? Solus is my romance.
And do you have kind of a backstory to your character, like a short one?
Well, I mean, they kind of give you one, basically. I was a hunter, and
Well, yeah, I mean, even besides what they
did
kind
I
of establish.
headcanon some shit?
Yes, everybody has some headcanon shit.
Everyone except me, because I feel like I guess so. I guess my character was very pro freedom, so I freed the mages and was very polite, but also thought all the court shit was bullshit, and so it was kind of wanting. I made everyone work together in Halam Sharal. Vivian did not like me at all. So I was like, freedom, and she's like, no, and I was like, fuck. I made Iron Bull go tell the Shoth. I was very pro freedom. That's about where I went with that. Is open minded and pro freedom.
What about religion? Did you follow the whole Andrastian thing? Did you believe that you were the herald of
No, the whole time
Andraste?
I'm like, how about no? I'm Dalish. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, no. No, I don't believe that. No. That's nice, but no. No, it was creators. Yeah, full on Dalish.
All right.
I knew it wasn't Andraste. That's for sure.
Yes, we did have this discussion.
We did.
And
I
we're
was
totally going to get into
I
it.
was right about Alistair. I had to say that.
You were right about Alistair. We will get into that as well because that was funny. But I was right about the spirit.
You were right.
But we'll go over that as well. But Rasmus, your Inquisitor, your Inquisition.
Yes, my Inquisitor, I always tend to go um, warrior the first time. It's I don't know why I always
'Cause
run
you're
that first. And then so I went warrior, Dalish elf because elves for life, sort of.
yeah.
And yeah, and then I went Reaver as my specialty. And yeah, I when it comes to headcanon stuff, what I really wanted was him to, like they give you backstory, so it kind of destroyed sort of my headcanon because my idea was that this person would look up to the hero of Ferelden
Ah.
because he was also Dalish elf, so he would like, and that
Well,
was the idea that he wanted to like also help Fades and that sort of stuff. And I always go kind of neutral with everything. Always my first character is like neutral badass. That's the my
I like
idea.
that.
the
True
neutral badass.
badass.
Yeah, I'm not good. I'm not evil, sort of.
No, that's good. That's good. I guess I'll go over Nate's from what I know since he's not here. Well, you can see that he went Kunari.
Yeah.
He actually
All
decided to
right.
go.
Should I say who I romanced?
Oh yeah,
Because
I was
yes.
completely
Oh my
forgot
I
that.
gosh.
romanced
Yes.
Cassandra because like there was two choices and I wanted to go Scout Harding, but I couldn't. So
That was a very, funny enough. That was a very popular choice that a lot of people were denied.
She's adorable.
yeah,
She's definitely a keeper.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh yeah, and did you follow, of course, the whole Andrastian thing? Did you believe you were a herald of
I
Andraste and believe in the Maker, or?
I was I used it sort of like let the reputation just go by itself, but I was more like I care about I'm Dalish, so I'm just the elven gods
Yep.
and that
You
sort of
damn
stuff.
Dalish.
So, but I did let the reputation continue of me being the Herald on Drasta just because of for the Inquisition's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was more like, can you tell them not to do that? I was very anti.
It's like let's not just say that we did.
Like, no. Stop saying that. No. Makes me uncomfortable. Yeah.
With Nate, we know that he's Kunari. I mean, you can see that in his little preview image. He
Yeah.
went Knight Enchanter.
Cool.
I forget if he did that for gameplay purposes or for story purposes.
Yeah, because it was broken
the
as
most
shit.
overpowered class in the game.
Oh, is it? I didn't try that one yet. I did my
Oh,
mage
it
is a
is.
rift mage.
Oh,
One
it's
of its
really
ability
overpowered.
is whenever you cast a spell, you generate more barrier for yourself.
No, it's not when you cast a spell. It's just when you attack
Any-
with your
Your staff.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's even worse. I thought
Yeah.
I heard it
Shit,
was just
man.
magic.
I
Yeah.
gotta try that shit.
So you can typically, if you build your character right, have almost infinite barrier on yourself and
Yeah,
just never
exactly.
die.
Oh, that's
You could
good.
solo dragon fights,
Yeah.
even on
we gotta
harder
talk
difficulties.
we gotta talk about dragon fights.
Oh,
at
we're
one
gonna.
point.
We're
Okay.
definitely gonna.
I want to talk about that.
My character, of course, self-insert, so it was more or less me. I think I did a pretty good job on designing it to make it look like myself.
Yeah, you always spend way too long doing that
I
shit.
know I failed miserably. So
No, you did a great job.
So,
Yeah, I will probably. I'll find
the
a way to
tattoos,
kind of.
not so much.
Yeah.
But
I'll
yeah,
find a way to ninja in the pictures, or at least post them up on Twitter again.
literally had to have the tattoos, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, because it stuck with the whole Dalish thing.
I suppose if you wanted to try, you could like make them skin colored and like have them blend in, but they're still there.
Yep. That's what some people did because they weren't a big fan of having the tattoos. The character I went with, of course, was human.
Oh,
Because
how unexpected.
yeah, I was waiting for the jokes from Rasmus.
Yes,
Your character's so boring.
sword board,
Sword and board all the way. DPS sword and board though. I actually built it so I was not only able to tank fairly well, which I got spoiled on, because playing now my two-handed warrior, I'm getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Versus as a sword and shield,
God.
I was damn near
Now
untouchable
now you
and
know
still be able
why
to do damage.
I don't know if I said this. I wanted to replace my character and just used all of the other parties because my character was so fucking badass, two-handed. So I was like, fuck, can I just trade out myself?
I just want 4 of this.
But my character, he believed in the Maker. He was somewhat religious, but he never truly believed that he was the Herald of Andraste. He believed there was more to it than that, despite being somewhat faithful. So there was constant times where he was the one who was just like, I don't know. I can just tell you what I remember. That's really about it. And of course, he
Yeah.
went champion spec, which gave you
Ooh.
I love the ability of being completely immune to damage for 8 seconds, and every time you get hit, it fixed the cooldown to where it went even quicker, and on top of that, generated guard.
Yeah,
So,
Blackwall's pretty great.
yeah,
I
because I
always
know
take
that's one
him.
of his abilities that he can definitely do.
Yes.
And romance was Josephine. It was probably it was just too cheesy, romantic, and adorable, which is definitely my style. So I was happy to go through that. There was even the little sword duel that was very reminiscent of something straight out of The Princess Bride. I was really waiting for him to say, "My name is Lord Otranto. You killed my father. Prepare to die" during the sword duel, but it never
And
happened.
Tiva. Yeah, on my second playthrough, I did a mage, and I was religious, but I was very like, yes, the maker sent me. Why do you ask? Like I was the total opposite. I was like, I'm like, I like even when they asked what kind of Inquisitor be, I'm like, I'm a warrior of faith, obviously. So Vivian loved me that time. I was her
But
favorite.
so yeah, into the story, and a lot of went into it. I mean, along with the whole Elder One reveal, which I
Uh
was
huh.
slightly off, which I can't wait to discuss that.
Uh huh.
The story, as a lot of people already know, you are known as the Herald of Andraste. You were the lone survivor of a magic nuke that kind of took place at Haven, which a lot of
Right.
people are
Yeah.
debating the location is. You come out of it, and
Well, it is at the Sacred of Ashes.
Not
yeah,
anymore.
it
Oh,
was.
Yeah, no.
Was.
okay.
I wonder what happened to the urn. Fucking gone, huh?
I believe they moved it. That's actually
Uh,
one of the slides in Dragon Age Origins to where they say they move its location. I guess that
okay,
may have
good.
been what the canon for that story was.
I hope so, because that's crazy.
Otherwise, that would have got destroyed. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot that kind of goes from there. For instance, you are faced against not only everybody in Orlais kind of hates you, and they're like, you're the one that did it, and then you have the Inquisition started, and everybody's completely against it at first, and you kind of have to prove yourself. You were starting from scratch, trying to build this force of good and change for Thedas, and everybody's against you. So it was definitely interesting to see you play around that way versus the previous games. I guess you kind of have the somewhat underdog story, but from there it kind of just seems like everything falls into place, as to where in this it feels like you're kind of fighting tooth and nail almost throughout.
I think it's more like Origin, where like you start off as a Grey Warden, but Logan told everybody that the Grey Wardens were assholes. So like
My
it's like
my
that.
my only issue is I feel like they hand the Inquisitor way much decision early on. Like I kind of understand getting the Inquisitor decision a little bit more later on, but I mean it feels like you instantly get so
Run the
much.
show.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
hear you. Yeah, I forgot that too. Like I forgot I wasn't in charge, I think, in the beginning. And they're like, you're gonna put you in charge. I'm like, fuck, I was in charge, wasn't I? Alright.
It's like you thought you were on it the entire time, but no.
I think they tried. Like I know, like when I did the mage thing, they were like, "We don't want to send her," but like, "Oh, but they want her because of the mark." And so they kind of like tried to make it seem like there was a reason you were doing all the super important shit instead of standing around looking at a table, right?
Yeah,
So
because
I
you're
think
only a
they
force
tried.
of the Inquisition at first, and
Yeah,
then
you're an agent.
they're like, you know what? You've been doing all of this. You've done all that. You are supposedly the Herald of Andraste. It makes sense to kind of make you the Inquisitor and kind of go from there. And you run
Yeah,
into
well,
some.
I'm kind of. I
No.
mean, like Cassandra could have been the leader as well. She's kind of a force of nature and leader in her
She
Oh,
own
needs
oh
some
way.
yeah.
this. She needs some mark. No mark. Using riffs. Boom.
That's really what it
Sorry.
came. It's really what it came down to if you
Yeah,
think
and it
about
was
it.
dumb luck, and that's what they declared. It's like, okay.
But I think that was great, especially because then you don't know what caused Haven. You kind of the whole point as being the Inquisitor, you're trying to find out who these agents of chaos are. You still have the Mage and Templar war, which is definitely a topic we're going to discuss here soon enough. That's still a hot button issue that people still are at each other's throat about, even to this day. Even after have finishing, I should say, Dragon Age Inquisition, people are still like, what was the right side to kind of go with? So I guess we can actually go into that. So right off the bat, when you're in the hinterlands, because I'm sure some of you are probably still, even after 75 hours, still stuck in the hinterlands.
Get out of the hinterlands. Get
There's
out of
more to the game than the
Haven.
hinterlands,
Get
although there
out
is
of
a lot to do.
Haven.
It's almost like the one joke. It's like 76 missions in hinterlands. Complete one, pass it around. 126 missions in hinterlands to go. It's like every time you go back, there's somehow just more missions to do there.
The hinterlands is out of control huge.
But in hinterlands, the one thing that's constantly still going on is you have the Mage and the Templar conflict now raging because they broke off from the Chantry and the Circle altogether after the events of Anders being a complete douche and blowing up a Chantry in
That's
Dragon
your
Age 2.
opinion.
Yeah.
He's douche. There's better ways of enacting change than blowing up a Chantry, but yes, it is my opinion. A shared opinion.
Hey,
So,
Yeah, kill him.
I didn't. You did the murder knife? Damn.
every
Like,
time.
"Move Anders all the
Every
way!"
time.
I was with it. Like the Templars.
So,
Kill.
the thing is, I thought it would have been really interesting if they would have given you a choice to kind of get, in a roundabout way, both of them to join you. Or even to a point where you could tell them both to kick rocks. But they came to a point where you had to choose one or the other to support the
It's just
Inquisition.
rough. It's rough.
It was. Because the one thing I
Yeah.
really enjoy about Inquisition is a lot of people thought it was pretty cut and dry on who the good guy was and who the bad guy was between the two factions. And from the different characters you speak to and a lot of the different events that you could kind of transpire, you end up seeing that neither side is really as great or as bad as a lot of people originally thought.
Which one do you think is the good guy? That's
I think
the
both of
mages?
them are
Well,
horrible.
no, that's the thing. Neither of them were really the good guy.
No.
But
No,
that was-
they were
are
both
bad, in
being
my
run
opinion.
by an asshole. I mean, that's what happened there. Like,
But with the events of Dragon Age 2, a lot of people sympathize with the Mages as they should, and they believe that Templars were absolute evil,
If
which
they-
is
if
not
they read the books,
really
they
the case.
wouldn't be so.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even then,
trusting
there's.
of the mages.
this, who reads? Come on.
I don't.
Well, I
busy
love
reading.
this. I
But
love
yeah,
the
I
books.
mean, definitely if you delve into a lot of the lore outside of the games, there's a lot more to it. For the people who only played the games, or if this is the only game that they have played, like I said, Dragon Age 2 definitely paints Templars in a very horrific light. And if you had nothing else to go based off of, you'd really think that just Templars are absolute shit.
Well,
and there's
I
definitely
mean-
more to
Yeah.
it than that.
I mean, Anders is kind of balanced it a bit.
Come on.
And the Blood
Come
Mages.
on.
And the Blood Mages, because there was like that
Yeah.
was the funny thing about Kirkwall, is like everywhere you turned around there was a Blood Mage. It's like, are you guys serious?
There was a lot of blood mages in Kirkwall, but there's a lot of everything in Kirkwall. Let's be honest.
Kirkwall
like,
was shit.
It's like 5, and then there's like 10 more. Like there's a lot of
I
Carta,
mean, it
a lot
was
of
a city
coterie.
I'm
based
I'm
on
gonna
slavery.
We're gonna lose
Yeah,
some.
slavers. That's
We're
a
gonna
thing.
lose some viewers and probably some of my own subscribers on YouTube by basically saying Kirkwall is the New Jersey of Thetis.
Damn.
I just put that out there.
Yeah.
It was
All
the
right.
worst.
Kirkwall's bad.
If that is the worst, what is Detroit then?
Ooh, Erasmus is doing shots fired.
Detroit. Gosh, that's a tough one. We'll have to think about that.
But who did you guys side with in regards to the? Who did you go first? Who did you go to for support?
I did. I already told you. I did.
Yeah,
the
mages.
mages. But on my second playthrough, I did the Templars partially because I just want to do the other quests, to see what that whole quest line is like, because it's a totally different adventure.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
that's also the beauty of Inquisition, is the fact that it splits off in two entirely different stories for that, which alter little parts throughout the rest of the game. But that's a major change in story when you make the initial choice between the two. So it's definitely very important for anybody who's played through one side. Definitely play the other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it isn't like what you think. What's really interesting to me was that like I sided with the mages, but saw more of Cullen, and which is not what I would think would happen. But if you side with the Templars, you see more of Liliana.
Mhm.
So if you like one of those characters and want to see more of them, then
That'd be the way about it. I think
do
we
that.
lost camera on Cat.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. What do I do?
Yeah. So I went Templars the first time.
Hmm.
I honestly didn't have any reason to go one or the other. I would have liked to do both, as like
Yeah.
used to being able to do that, but I just
Find
took
some
a
sneaky loophole where you can do both.
yeah. I'm just gonna.
That's what I was hoping for. It'd be really cool to
Yeah.
have the choice to get both of them to join because of the greater conflict you're going with, or just saying, okay, both of you, you're being children, get the hell out of here. I can do this on my own.
Yeah. So yeah, I went Templars, and I my opinion is that the mages I've done both as well with in my second playthrough I'm doing right now. So I think the Templar is a more like challenging mission, and the mages is better for hype purpose with the way that the mages stories
Oh yeah, because you got to do the whole Back
laid
to the
out.
Future.
I think you get more loot
Yeah.
with the mages. I could be wrong, but I
You
feel like you
get
get more loot.
you
get
get
outrageous amounts of loot.
you get my favorite sword
Oh,
from there. If you really explore, you find the schematic for the Masterwork Wave Blade. For
Oh,
any,
I found that.
yeah, which for anybody unfamiliar with that, if you play Dragon Age Origins, that is Starfang.
Ah,
Oh,
So you actually get the schematic for that specific style sword.
what do I do about my video?
I don't know why
I
it's acting
tried
weird.
turning it off and on again.
I could try disconnecting you from the call and then bring you back in.
Alright.
Let's try that real quick. Boop.
yeah. So
Do we have success? Hey, it worked. It worked. You're back.
Did it?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, so yeah, I like the boss battle is also.
I know that's Anthony mentioned that was something that bothered you.
Well, not until I took control of Vivian. I think it was no
Make it challenging.
instead of my own character, because like being a mage in that battle makes that boss battle way more easier because they were getting themselves kills for no reason
yeah,
because the AI is what it is in that game.
That's
So-
one thing I've noticed. A lot of people have different opinions on the AI. For me, AI has not been absolute crap, and they've actually been on point on what
they
they
have
need to be
screwed
doing.
me so many times.
And that some people have that. Some people have it to where the AI is working beautifully, it's doing everything it's supposed to, and everybody's on point. Then the people are kind of like in between, where it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then unfortunately, you have people like Rasmus who are kind of just stuck with the absolute dumbest AI ever, and they're just
Yeah.
like they're facing the wall as the fight's going on behind them.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't have that too
certain
much.
characters are just like Cole and Iron Bull get themselves killed all the time. I
Iron
don't fucking know
Bull
how
took everything down for me. Like he never
Iron Bull
died.
gets himself
I made him
killed every
sword and
time.
board,
I'm like,
and he did very nicely
Why would you do that to Bull?
because he's awesome with a shield.
This is
I
true.
gave Cassandra the two-hander.
That's funny. You made him switch
Yeah.
roles.
I did. Fun. But my biggest problem was when I'm like fighting stuff with AoE attacks, like for example a dragon, and like they just stand in the burning ground. I'm like, can you
yeah,
guys
that's
fucking
yeah.
move? Or like my mage is getting way too close to the dragon. I'm like, get the fuck back.
Yeah,
You don't need to be that close.
It's like, can
If
you guys
Vivian
not?
gets
Yeah.
the when she gets the attack where she can like melee, she's
Yeah.
always gonna melee.
Okay, that's fine. That's her jam, and I'm cool with that. But like Dorian, like running up to the dragon, I'm like, can you not do that, please?
It would behoove you not to get yourself
Yeah.
killed.
We're
Yeah.
literally standing in a pit of fire for no reason. So I'm always having to like pause and like say, okay, now you come back here, you dumb shit. Stop getting closer. Because like that's all, especially when it like starts beating its wings and drawing you in. You know, some of the dragons
Yeah.
do that. So I'm like, run, bitches. Oh, but I fought the one. Which one was this? This is the one that does electrical, and it's
There's
over.
two that does
Okay.
electrical.
Not the one in the Storm Coast.
Okay, then it's the one in the Exalted.
The Exalted
Yeah.
Plains.
Oh my god, that thing
Exalted
one-shot
Plains.
killed me. I was like, oh shit! That was like, pretty high level. I don't know how it did it, but it one-shotted me. Like, oh.
Yeah, no, especially because the fact that they can energize the pool of water,
Ugh,
and then you're just like,
that was
well,
bad.
shit.
Because like all of a sudden I'm playing Blackwall, and I'm like, why? I didn't say that. Oh shit! I died. Yeah, I don't usually die that
Your-
often because I'm usually
Your
far
camera
away.
likes to stop on the funniest faces.
That's all I do, Anthony, is make funny faces. So it's not hard.
Well, you excel at it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just, uh,
all right. As far as the choice I made, usually I always tried to. I'm all for the mages in certain respects, but again, like I was always the person who was neutral. Even Dragon Age 2 to the very end, until they kind of had to jam it down my throat. I'm like, no, you both have you both of you have your pros and both of you have your cons. You both can be real d bags. I'm not going to take sides. But in this one, it's like, all right, we heard what was going on with the Templars, but the second they're like, oh yeah, we have Tevinter trying to take the mages in Redcliffe. I'm like, oh no, you
yeah,
don't.
that was bad.
I'm like,
I
you
was
know
like,
what?
no.
Like the Templars might have their own problems, but fuck Tevinter. I'm like, I'm gonna
Right.
help out the mages for
Yeah.
solely that purpose
Okay, but
because
can I just tell you, like, what I couldn't side with the Templars very easily either, because when they walk up and you're in Valrayo and that old woman's talking, that one guy like neck punches her. I'm like, oh shit!
just cold cocks her. He's like,
Fucked up. I'm like, well, you're assholes, and like nobody seemed to mind except me. The Daily
Yeah,
Show was like, what the fuck are you doing?
that's
Oh
the
my
reason
god.
why most people always like almost everyone went mages first. Like I think they did
Like,
like wanted everyone to pick mages for some like if people thought they were assholes before, they were
they really thought they were
definitely
assholes now. That was
oh,
funny though, but it was all
oh.
because of the Lord Seeker.
Well, yes, but he didn't tell that guy to cold cock that woman. That guy
No,
yeah.
just did it on his own.
no.
He's like, I'm gonna punch this old woman. I'm like, fuck. Oh my god, that was crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
in winter, it's like they made a bad deal. You know, they didn't punch an old woman in the neck. That did not happen, or the back of the head, or whatever the fuck he did to
no,
her.
yeah, they cold cocked her. She didn't knock her ass
Yeah,
Yeah.
out.
like, is that really necessary? You could just like shove her. And
That
that's
was
like
one
the
of the
same
few
thing.
times my character actually did a direct aggressive action, where he's like, "What the
I-
fuck?"
I can't not do the aggressive one. It's like, what are you doing? Because
It's like, what was the point of that?
I just said I said I would have done that myself.
Ass. Oh, man.
He's a Dalish and he got sick and tired of hearing about the Chantry.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
a Danish too, but you don't punch an old lady. What the
No,
fuck?
no, I agree.
No,
Oh.
I just said I did. Doesn't mean that I had to do it.
It looks like my video's gone again.
I don't know if we. I'm gonna kill the feed or not the whole feed. Just I'm gonna disconnect call from you and drop back in.
It's great that you like didn't fully say it. Like,
I
oh
figured it
man.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it. All right, you're back in though, so that's good.
Okay. So you say?
No, you're back. I wouldn't lie to you.
No, it's not that. I just can't see it yet because I'm on a delay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can see
I
you.
chose the mages, which was great because then
Well
we did the whole Back to the Future. It's like Inquisitor, your kids. I'm like, what?
Dude, that was fucked up. Like, I can't tell out of the two of them, like, which was creepier. Because maybe it was the mage one. Because it's like what they do to your party members and to Liliana.
Oh yeah, no,
Shit! And then
definitely.
you see her again and she's nice again. I was like,
It's like I just
don't
want to
Well,
hold
I mean-
you
I mean,
and just
know.
never
it's
do anything
so much
bad
nicer
ever again.
She isn't really, to be honest.
No,
no,
but
she's-
she's at least like cheerful. Cheerful. She's
Yeah.
like, hi, and I'm like, ah, you were a crazy bitch.
But I thought that was great because then that was definitely a very dark future, and I like sometimes when you have stories that kind of do that, showing you this is what's going to happen if you don't change things now.
And they had nice little texts lying around, like describing the way things were, and I was like,
Oh,
damn.
absolutely. And then the fact that you actually see the Grand Enchantress Fiona, and then she's
Lyrium growing out of her.
yeah, and you're just
Yeah.
kind of, you can even ask her. It's like, you do know you have lyrium growing out
That's
of you.
Bad.
This is not good. And that's when you find out that that's how it's able to replicate itself so much. And then she goes into detail about how you can feel it behind your eyes and you can feel it underneath your fingernails, and you're just like, ugh.
And then your two party members like are fucked up. Who did you take? Who did you have with you when you did that?
Varric is my forever bro.
Oh god, Varric did not look happy.
No, he didn't. Especially because he's the one person who is more adamant about destroying the red lyrium than anybody else, especially because of the whole
Oh
Barkhead
yeah,
thing.
I always take him to destroy Lyrium. Shit.
And I had Iron Bull.
Oh okay. Okay.
And then trying to think who the third party member. Oh yeah, Dorian, because
is
it has
always-
to be.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to have Dorian.
So that was the party.
I took Iron Bull and Solus actually, because I love taking him. 'Cause
The-
he always
How was Solus?
He
I
was
haven't-
like nonplussed the whole time. He was like, "Oh hi," I'm like,
Yeah, well,
Not
that's
surprised. He's like,
expected.
let's go. Yeah, he was completely not surprised. He's
Well,
like, oh, you're
that was
alive. Like
expected
that was
with
something that surprised him is that you
later
were
on.
alive. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
But
And yeah, an iron bolt. When when you go in and then like one of your party members gets thrown in by all the bad guys, they threw in fucking iron bolt. I'm like, dude. Like, okay. That did not. I thought they'd throw in the mage, but no, they're big enough to throw a Kunari in through the doorway. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's what
I was
happened with mine as well. And then you
like,
finally make it out, and that's what's really cool because if you go to the mage side, you get Dorian, and you do not get Cole as part of your party until the Siege of Haven.
right.
As toward the other way around, if you go with the Templars,
Mm.
you have Cole with you, and then you don't get Dorian until the Siege of Haven.
And I've done
Yeah.
that too. I've done that
Yeah,
too.
I
I
did.
like that because you went to the fade. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think out of the two, I like that one better. Like playing it, it's more fun to me.
That's exactly how I said it. I said
Yeah.
hype-wise, the mages was way better, but playing-wise, the Templar one was so much more fun.
Except I always get lost in this one part in the fade where like you're supposed to like it's like a map of the place you just were, but like I'm really bad with maps and the map they give you is shit. So I'm like literally running around there and like one-shotting everything that comes up. I'm like, oh, I hope you're not a good guy, you know. So yeah, that's what I did at first, but I managed to figure it out. But I like Cole as a character a lot, so it was neat to spend a little more time with him.
So the Templar storyline in Cerberus.
Oh yes, Sir Barris. Oh yes, please.
That's also another popular
yes.
pick that
Oh yes. Why can't you
all
romance him? Woo!
all the female players are just like should have been a romance option. Now
Right. I'm glad it's not just me. I'm
Cerberus
like, this.
or Cullen.
Oh come on, it's always Cullen. That's
Yeah, I
not
know
fair.
it's Cullen. I'm just
Yeah.
messing with you. I know you're a hardcore Cullenite, even though you betrayed Cullen and went with Saul.
Ah, it's not my fault. He's too slow.
Soul's
Got
game,
it.
Soul's game too strong.
He did. He's the best kiss in the whole game. Both of them. The other ones is like, all right, just Cullen and his pauldrons. Fine, whatever.
Well, no,
Soul's
the
thing.
Josephine kiss. You kiss so
Hey.
well that her leg pops.
Yeah, that's cute, but it's not like hot like it is with Solus. You gotta trust me. Watch the vids, man.
Yeah,
I know you're not gonna ever play a female elf that goes that away. So
well, remember, I'm still, for the sake of you and the other Colonites, I said that I would go ahead and play as a female elf and go ahead and romance Colin.
Colin
I
is very
recommend-
tempting. I'm playing a
Is-
female elf right now,
okay,
so
can I recommend though a human mage for Colin?
Okay, I'll go that
Is it
route.
elf? Solus will take you. I'm sorry. I'm just predicting this shit. He's gonna get you, and you're like. And it was weird with Blackwall too, because I flirted with at the first playthrough. I flirted with everybody, right? Just because why not? And then at one point, I'm like out with when you first get to Skyhold and he takes you out in the battlements, and they're just like, "Hey, we're flirting," haha. And he's like, "Hey, we can't continue this." I'm like, "Continue what? What the fuck are we doing? Like we just like had a convo." So yeah, he makes you decide right then and there if you're going to continue the romance, even though you're not any kind of romance. You're just talking. And
It's like, is this happening or is this not
passive.
happening? This is
But
what
he's
it
all
is.
like angsty, like we can't do this. I'm like, dude, what? We're walking on the battlement. What the fuck? But yeah. So, but my sister romanced Blackwall because basically what happened was when she said that and she's like, no, let's keep going because she didn't know she was like committing. Now you can have no one else because anytime you're trying to romance someone else, it'd be like, I thought you were with Blackwall. She's like, but I'm not. We just talked. Like, too bad.
It was just a discussion.
Break it
He
off.
doesn't own me.
Yeah, you can't pick it off. It's not like some of the other ones where you can be like, we need to end this. You can't do that.
And then from there, I mean, you after you've made the choice, you have the whole siege on Haven, to which
well,
the-
well, we didn't. Like, I didn't point out what
Oh, go ahead.
choice I did for the Templar.
Oh,
thing.
yes.
I made them still be. They were allied. I think
Yeah.
is
oh yeah, because at the end with both the mages and the Templars, you have the choice to practically enslave them, or you can go ahead and allow them to be kind of their own thing, to where they can be allies.
Yes.
so I made them allies.
I really think
Because I did-
allies is the best for either role,
Yeah.
Yeah.
depending on the
Well,
character you're playing as, of course.
Yeah. I told you my Danish was super freedom loving, so there's no way I was going to enslave anybody, Templars or mages. So yeah, no, and I feel like if I played both, so I feel like aligning with the Templars, you get a generally more favorable reaction from your people. A little bit more. It's a little bit. They like it a little bit better.
So, very early on, which I was kind of surprised by, I won't say disappointed, because that wouldn't be the proper way of going about it, but very early, immediately after you do that story mission, the Elder One is revealed, and it is actually
Yeah.
the Elder One. And for anybody who doesn't know, and again, huge spoiler, it is Corypheus. For anybody unfamiliar with who Corypheus is or haven't played the previous games, he was the one of the first Darkspawn, and he's a Treventer Master of old, like really old, who
Like
was
Mm.
Dumont.
who was sealed
Yeah.
away in a Grey Warden prison during the DLC for Dragon Age 2 known as Legacy. They couldn't kill him, they couldn't figure out what to do with him, so they sealed him away, and unfortunately, in order for Hawk to be able to escape this prison, had to release him. Thought he had killed him, and it's explained later in Dragon Age Inquisition why he's back. But
Yes.
that is
It was
the
well
Elder
done.
One. It was handled fairly well. Um, Overall, as a big bad, I was still kind of hoping, even as playing through the game, even though I knew it was not the case, but it's one of those false hopes you kind of hold on to, that he was kind of just going to be the puppet, and there'd be the puppet master. Because anybody who's seen my...
Flemeth. You
Yeah.
wanted
I
Flemeth,
would.
right?
No,
I
not Flemeth. I actually had a theory way back, and I had a video for it closer to the release of Inquisition Door. I
Yeah,
actually
you're
wanted
saying
it to be
Dumont.
Dumont.
Oh,
Because Dumont would
shit.
really make a lot of sense, too, besides the fact that he's dead. But I mean, in regards to Corypheus, because Corypheus hardcore was devoted to Dumont. Because you have the Warden sacrifice, and Dumont was the first one who was slain by the Grey Wardens. But it's not so much a science in killing Darkspawn. They do a ritual that they believe works, but given that Dumont is the most powerful of the old gods, I kind of figured like, okay, well, what if it just causes a longer regeneration or something like that? But that wasn't the case. But not to say that might not even be something that we'll see in the future or not.
I could see
Yeah.
it. Was he the
I
god of silence? Is that what he was?
Trying to
I think
remember.
he was the god of silence.
I believe he's the god of science. I would have to look
Doesn't
it up.
sound that powerful, does it?
He was the first. He was the first. Blight, right?
Yes,
Archdemon,
he's
yeah.
the first archdemon, but out of the 7 old gods, he was the most powerful. And he was actually the one who taught, according to lore, or the myth that's kind of perpetuated, he was the one that taught the Treventer Magisters blood magic. And also is the one that kind of told them, hey, you know what would be a really good idea if you guys laid siege to the Golden City? And we saw how well that worked out for him.
Yeah, yeah, I think as well, like Corypheus, like he shouldn't have been able to do that by himself. He's too dumb. Yeah, in my opinion, he was just a crazy lunatic.
Yeah, I mean,
And
he was definitely
so,
a fanatic. I mean, he made that pretty obvious throughout the story. But, I mean, I think he's a good enemy. I think
Well-
he's still strong throughout the game, but I personally, I wanted it to be more than that. But it still wasn't bad. Like I said, it was interesting how they went about it. Not bad, though, my opinion.
You have to admit that he got his ducks in a row.
No, he definitely had a plan. He definitely
So
went
he wasn't
forward.
that dumb. He like
And you
figured
kept-
out how to
yeah, well,
manipulate
I'm
everybody.
sort of like he would be like a person who would follow a plan. Like,
No,
I was saying like for me, I couldn't see him as the big bad guy. Like I didn't feel him as like the opponent.
I guess what you might be saying, I'm just gonna go on a limb here. You can tell me if I'm wrong. He went from being super devoted to Dumont in the first game. It's kind of weird to see him kind of tell all the other gods, including Dumont, that they can kiss his ass, and he wanted to become basically
Yeah.
a god himself.
Like there must be some explanation why later on, because I mean, for me, I couldn't see him as like
'Cause
this big bad dude.
they only partially
I don't know.
explained why he changed his demeanor in that sense. He basically
He
said that
crazy.
once he went there to the Golden City, it was nothing but actually black. It was the Black City by the time he got there, and there was no gods there. So I guess he kind of just stopped believing in gods and wanted to become one himself. I guess maybe that's why they had his kind of demeanor and like his motivations change from Legacy to this point.
He crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened there.
So and then from there we have well, you guys can go ahead and bring up some of the story decisions that you thought, or did you enjoy it, or what you felt about. For
I'm
instance,
trying to think of it like as we go through it, right? So you get to Skyhold.
oh, one thing I know you want to talk about, Rasmus, just real quick.
Mm.
The Grand Enchantress Fiona.
Yeah.
So you
So
want to go ahead and discuss that?
yeah, sure.
Because there's some people
Like-
who don't know about her.
Yeah, she is the mother of Alistair, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was for my first playthrough, I only encountered her fighting when fighting the mages at
I
the
hated
Haven.
that. Yeah, I hated that
So,
so much,
so
seeing
I'm
her as
like,
the enemy.
and I
Oh,
never saw Alistair in the whole first playthrough. I never got
oh,
to.
that sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I
And your
was
key
so
thing
hyped.
makes so much difference there. Because, yeah,
Yeah,
when I played mages, I had Alistair as king, who was king with my warden, right?
yeah,
And so I saw him, and that was fine. But yeah, they don't have like a huge. You think they'd have more to do with each other, but he basically tells her to get the fuck out, and that's that. And then later she
yeah,
like asks about him, like, so how is he? And you're like, well, we didn't really talk. You're like, okay, and that's it.
yeah.
And
And then
then yeah, and then if he's a Grey Warden, then you take him with you to the Fade.
to which
Go.
we're definitely going to talk about that in a
Yeah,
second.
Yeah,
we
yeah, we're
gotta
gonna
talk
talk.
about that shit. That's
Uh,
what happened
Yeah,
the second
so
playthrough.
Dragon
Uh-huh.
Age Keep definitely plays a major role in quite a few events in Dragon Age Inquisition, and they definitely hinted beautifully. I
I
honestly
do
think
too.
that it's much better than the save system, and I'm glad they
Yes.
yeah,
established this, and it's worked great so far. There's only been a few people at the very beginning, before even the first patch came out, that were having issues with Keep. Even then, it was like a very small minority of people that were having that problem. But yeah, one of the interesting things is if you do side with the mages and you do have Alistair's King, you get that cameo. Otherwise, he is the. Oh, okay, no. Thought we lost Cat there for a moment.
I'm here.
But you do get to run into Alistair, and if you have him as king along with Nora, either way, it kind of changes who appears at that moment.
yeah,
And
If you get that moment, which you may not.
exactly.
yeah,
But they still never in game, or at least Alistair is still unaware that Fiona is actually his true mother.
I
yeah.
know.
So
That's rough,
So
especially if
that
she
didn't get
fucking
revealed.
dies. That's that. You know, like he
exactly.
never talks to her. I'm like, you
Nope.
guys,
Yeah,
So
that's not okay.
that's why it's important to not be like me and actually, if you have the opportunity, read the books or even at least just some of the graphic novels because they definitely add a lot more depth to even the Dragon Age universe even further.
yeah. Especially like, yeah, I especially the Fiona parts. Uh, she's a better like person when she was
Oh, I love
younger.
Fiona. She was, Fiona went through a lot of shit. You can't really blame her, except the
Yeah,
torture thing. He manipulated her in a scary, scary way. So,
And she's
yeah,
no longer a Grey Ward too, which brings up an interesting thing as part of the theories we'll be talking about.
yeah.
mm, mm,
But here lies the abyss.
yeah.
Premiere Part 2.
Oh, that's probably my favorite part of the whole game. I'm not gonna lie.
It
That
was
whole
definitely.
thing.
Well, the funny thing is it's going to work one of two ways for you. Either it was one of the most gut wrenching decisions you had to make throughout all of Inquisition, or it was probably one of the easiest decisions you had to make
Yeah,
throughout Inquisition. So,
Oh,
to get into the whole here lies the abyss, the one thing is you get to be reunited with Hawk, which
yeah.
Cassandra is absolutely
my God, that video
livid.
was crazy too. I think
She.
my video dropped again now.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Here, I'm gonna disconnect you from the
What did
call and
it
bring it
do?
back in. Let's
Okay,
see.
here I am.
All right.
And ta-da!
Let's see.
I'm back.
All right. There we go. But
All right.
it was great because you actually get the cutscene after the fact to where Cassandra
And they get into a fist
full
fight,
on tries to
basically.
attack Merrick over it. And Merrick's like, "You put him through enough," and it's true because
Her.
or
Just
her.
Mm.
saying.
I'm sorry.
Just saying.
Depending on who
Yeah,
you
it was her
have.
for me too.
Aha!
See, I'm sorry. I'm talking as if we're going based off my Inquisition. So.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all right.
I know.
Because there's no canon other
Yeah,
than
I'm
your own
just adding,
other than your own canon. But either way, Hawk is back, and I thought it was really cool how you can go ahead and customize Hawk in game if
Yeah,
you wanted
Yeah,
to.
and
that
that's
was fun.
when I lost it. Oh
What do you mean?
fuck! I got my person got voice changed.
Another unfortunate glitch. Some people, if
If you
you
customize
customize Hawk,
the hawk, you get the person changed back to voice one.
Oh, your
So
voice
I had
changed.
Yeah, I had the
Oh,
American voice, so I ended up with a British voice instead. And I, I didn't think it was. I just thought that scene was the one where like, oh, this scene is glitched. So I kept on going. So if I would have like gone back to the old save, I would have gone back an hour of content. So
oh,
I was
yeah.
stuck with the voice change. So
Because what it did is if you went with anything other than the pre-built design for Hawk, what would happen is if you were Dalish, there's what's considered the default voice, which is the British voice. So if you
Hmm.
try to go with the American accent, it would automatically switch you back to British voice.
Did
If
not
you try to
happen to
consider.
me.
No, it
no,
didn't happen to everybody.
my Dalish had a voice change in the middle of. He was like, "Oh shit, I'm
That's
gonna
weird. Like
operate
he's
on
so
the song."
excited to meet Hawk, his voice changed. Like,
It
oh my
said
god, it's
straighten up.
Hawk.
It's like,
I
it's
gotta
nice
press
to
Hawk
meet
from
you.
British accent. Hang on, and then you just gotta keep it up after that for the rest of the game.
uh,
So,
Gorilla King 7 wants to make a song request.
oh, okay. I'm assuming me.
I'm not singing. I can't.
What?
I couldn't sing to save my life unless you guys want to bleed from the ears. I think it's probably best that I don't.
Me.
So we'll wait for what that song request is. But
Okay.
yeah, I thought it was great. The whole seeing Hawk again, discussing it, and then Hawk is telling you like, "I killed Cryphius. I was there. Varric was there.
Yeah.
We killed
They
that
were
son of a
there. God
bitch.
damn it! I was like,
They were
okay,
dead,
nobody's judging
flat out."
you.
And again, that's cool where the
That's
keep
the
comes into play because based on who's alive and who you romance, there's even discussion if you press on enough of what happened to them.
like
Yeah.
if you romanced Anders.
Like your romancing, or if Anders was dead and you're like, so what'd you think of Anders? And Hawk was like, he was a crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I did one where I romanced Anders, but I didn't agree with him, so it was super angsty. It's like, well, you just can't go back from stuff like that. It's like, oh shit, things aren't going well.
Eyes and Fire, Zed's Dead remix. I don't
I,
think any of us are familiar with
even,
that.
that is that from Pulp Fiction?
Well, the term Zed's Dead I know is a reference to Pulp Fiction. Whether it's intentional or not is a whole other story. So no,
Song
I'm
that we know, but
sorry, we wouldn't be able to do that.
I would if I could. But
So here lies the abyss, and what happens is Corypheus is able to replicate the calling, which is
that
kind of
was
That
surprising
was
cool,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Like,
That
oh
was
shit, you
so
guys.
you're like, all right, well, that would explain why all the wardens have disappeared, which is one of the reasons why you kind of run into Blackwall in the first place. And he's able to replicate the calling, so all of these wardens are kind of following this voice that they're hearing, and he's able to kind of manipulate them through means you're unaware of. But that's where you have either Loghain, Alistair, which you were right, Kat, that he was the one who was in the
Like,
trailer.
that's out. No, it's not.
They-
well. I
It's
was.
he
not.
looked-
I said that.
I don't care. I know it's
I,
Alistair. I know Alistair when I see him.
I said.
Okay.
I think I said that as well.
You did. You said you thought it could be him, but it just to me he looks so different.
Yeah. Well.
But it didn't to me. It looked like Alistair. It's the hair. I don't know what it was, but I was like, that is 100% Alistair. And at no point did I say, maybe not.
I wasn't sure. I'm
Okay,
like,
fine. You guys can think what you want. I know what it is.
well, no, Rasmus,
Like, I
I
know what
agreed
you
with you at
think.
one point, but I was just
Yeah.
no, and you were right. So I will admit it. Here it is. You were right.
So what
It
did you
is
do
Alistair.
between Hawk and Alistair? What do you
Well,
do?
that was the thing. You had the choice came down to because once you go into the Fade, you end up finding out that it's actually a
Well, you can have stout as well. Like.
well,
Right.
Stroud.
That's
Stroud
even a
is
question. Come on.
well,
Yeah.
that's
Like
actually part.
fuck stout.
That's actually part of the joke.
Stroud.
That's actually
Yeah.
part of the joke.
Yeah.
So based on your keep
Guys.
decisions, the warden who's trying to look into the whole calling situation, why it's happening, what's going on, and who's helping out Hawk is either going to be Loghain, Alistair, or Stroud.
Sorry, who has Loghain? Sorry.
And that's where you find out that the Grey Wardens are working with a mage who's working for Corypheus, and they're being controlled without their knowledge. And you can kind of, at that point, convince them otherwise, and kind of show that they're being used, which results in a
Easier with Blackwall, by the way.
yeah. Go there with
He just fucking does it.
go there with Blackwall. Definitely for part of the story, go there with Blackwall if you can. And no matter what happens, it results in there being a conflict to where some of the wardens have a steel will and are able to fight it. Some of the other ones are still being controlled, and unfortunately, the warden commander kind of gets eaten and then beaten by
She's a
the.
badass though.
She
Yeah.
was. She definitely kicked the crap out of the mage before it happened.
Yeah, and like got bit by a dragon and like
Still
survived.
lived for a little bit before
Yeah,
getting.
still fought. I was like, damn.
But the
Right.
you kind of pull a bullfighter, like Toro, Toro, move out of the way. The dragon falls, but unfortunately, it caused you and your party to fall. And almost as an instinctual thing, you open up a hole into the fade. So you're in the raw fade, the real fade, not the
Yeah.
dream fade, which
Mhm.
kind of blows everybody's mind, especially based on who you bring with you. I'm pretty sure if you had Solace in your party, he was probably
Oh
geeking out
God,
like,
he was. No, he wasn't. He was like.
no, he
He had
wasn't.
a lot to say. No, he's just like, this part of the fate sucks. Or we're like, okay.
So he was used to the
He had a lot.
romanticized version of the fade, like the
Mm.
dream fade.
Well, yeah, the dream fate, or not, who knows with that guy. But he basically was like, this part. He has a lot of info for you. He's like, this part of the fate is controlled by this nightmare, so we're stuck here. We need to get out of here. Like he's not happy to be there.
To which is you're
I
going.
think I also had Solus, I think.
What's that?
I think I also had Solus.
I always had him with me just because, well, I was romancing him, but also because he had a lot to say.
I had Blackwall.
Oh,
Iron
Blackwall's
Bull.
good in there though, because of what the nightmare says to him.
Yeah.
Did anyone before that even? Did anyone think he was actually a Grey Warden?
Well, I wanted to save that for when we talk about the characters, but
Okay.
no, I called bullshit
I didn't
right.
realize
Oh,
it.
right! He's like,
I called-
"Ugh,
I
was
called
in Ferelden
bullshit
during the blind. I killed Darkspawn." I'm like, bullshit, you did.
Well, because every time you asked
Bullshit.
him like very
He's so
specific
evasive.
questions about the Grey
Yeah.
Wardens, he was kind of just like, So how do you kill
you
an
kill it.
archdemon?
You just
Well,
do.
you stick it with the pointy end. It's like there's more to it than that, you son of a bitch. You kind of.
Yeah,
It was very
yeah,
it was very meta. Like you knew in your head, your character might not have known, but you at least knew. It's like you're full of shit.
Yeah, if you played the first game, yeah, as soon as he said I was in Ferelden during the blind, like bullshit, you were. I was killing Darth. No, you fucking weren't. Like, I knew he was a liar. You know he's a liar.
But based on the party makeup, you run into who you think at first is Divine Justinia, who's trying to get you to take the broken fragments of your memory that the nightmare's holding on to, which brings up a very important philosophical kind of question of whether or not, if you had the opportunity, would you give away some of your deepest, darkest fears or hurtful parts of your past and chuck it away, or would you hold on to them? Which is kind of what the nightmare is trying to say. It's like, I'm doing you a favor. I'm taking away all of these painful memories, so that way you can move on.
That's a good question. My Dalish was like, not without my permission, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like,
My character's like,
freedom.
fuck you, man. That's what makes me me.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what makes me a badass, is being able to endure that stuff and continue on.
Yeah. No, that whole part was like crazy good. That whole part.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, after the first game, Origin with the Fade, it was tedious, right? But after that, like, it was always exciting. So
Yeah.
anytime I go into the Fade, I'm like, oh boy, like, it was always exciting. So I enjoy, and just upping your stats is always so fun.
Two was kind of a pain in the ass, but like three
It's
felt like.
short, though. You gotta
No,
get
thankfully it was short, because it would have been any longer. He just would have been like, no, it's Dragon Age Origins again.
That's why I got the mod to skip the Fade.
But I do
PC for life.
I do love, like what you said, that in each time you go to the Fade, at least kind of to be like, we're sorry. You have the opportunity in multiple places just to get stat boosts.
Yeah.
They'd kind of just
Yeah,
throw
like,
stat
yeah.
boost stats for you. They just take it.
That,
This
that
is our
was
apology.
expected. Could you imagine if they sent you to the Fade and there were no stat boosts? You're like, this is bullshit. That wasn't the Fade. You know how I know? Because my stats didn't go up. So,
But as you're traveling through and you're getting the bits of your memory back piece by piece, you kind of find out how it all happened. And it's Corypheus using the Nightmare Demon through that and the calling was able to enthrall the Grey Wardens. And that you were there at Haven, you kind of burst in. Justinia was used as kind of the sacrifice for the anchor, which is what you find out is what put the Fade mark on your hand. And in a moment of you distracting Corypheus, Justinia kind of just bitch slaps the orb. And then,
Yeah.
like any, I guess, rational individual, you're kind of just like, hey, there's a rolling orb of immense magic. Let me go ahead and pick this up.
well, then I'm going to pick it up.
You pick it up, you're just like, oh, God, it hurts.
That was bad. Yeah.
So unifying, that's what happened. Then you see yourself in the Fade, and you are with Justinia, and you're both about to escape, but unfortunately she gets pulled away at the last moment by the nightmare, presumably the Nightmare Demon that kind of presides over that part of the Fade. And you find out that, because it finally reveals itself towards the end of that mission, that it's a spirit of virtue who kind of takes on the form and a lot of the memories of Justinia that actually helped you out. So it was not
Yeah.
Justinia,
No.
and it was not Andraste. It was just
But it
this.
knew a lot of what Justinia thought.
Exactly.
Like, it knew a lot about her. So it can give you that message for Liliana.
Yeah, you
That
could.
cryptic ass message.
Yeah.
Tell her that I
She's
failed
like-
her.
And she's like, but yeah, you can harden Liliana again. Did you know that? Because I hardened her on accident the
She's
first time.
double hard.
Oh,
Yeah, she went hard.
oh.
Oh,
Second
mine.
time I didn't. I like kept her soft because she was nice.
uh,
It's like,
So
sorry about that.
then he comes to the point where we're at Vermeer Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. So we have to make the choice of either Hawk or Loghain, Alistair, Stroud. Now, I had Stroud because I made Alistair
that guy's
king.
dead.
So it's like, wait, you want me to
Well, I
choose
was
between
spec-
my Hawk and Stroud? I'm like, peace, Stroud. I'm out. Come on, Hawk,
Well,
let's go.
Well,
Yeah.
like I actually, even though I had Stroud, I thought it was a difficult decision because Hawk wanted to suicide herself, and she really didn't want to live anymore. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? What has happened?" And
Well, they both wanted to
so-
suicide for redemption, but the thing is,
yeah,
Hawk's
but the way
suicide-
she was so fucking depressed and everything. I'm like, "What
She
the?"
really was.
That's because Hawk has been through a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
some of
but-
it may have been self-inflicted depending on how you played your character, but regardless, Hawk has been through the ringer. But
Yeah.
that's the reason why I also wanted my Hawk to live, because it's like, okay, this is not your time. This is not your redemption. You have people out there depending on you. You have your love interest. You have your friends. You have your family. They're all counting on you. Figure out another way. This is not it. And as for Stroud, the Grey Wardens needed something to redeem their name after the shit they pulled with Adamant.
And they pulled some shit.
So,
Yeah.
with siding with Corypheus when he's a goddamn darkspawn, even if though through the most part it was against their will, partially they willingly turned to blood magic and a lot of rituals that this mage had brought to them. The mage was working for Corypheus, but they still like, oh, this is the only way to stop, the next blight. No, there's
Bad
always
idea,
other ways.
right?
Exactly.
Bad idea.
So for me, it's like Stroud, stay behind, so at least then we can go ahead and sing your praises because you were the one that allowed us to escape and allowed us to kind of vanquish the Nightmare Demon and continue on.
See, I did not have any angst whatsoever. I'm like, Stroud, we barely knew you. Sorry. But then when I played again and Alistair was there, I'm like, bye, Hawk. You're mine, so I don't feel so bad.
That was like such a difficult decision if it was,
That was
either
hard.
Alistair or Loghain, depending on who you liked.
Fuck Loghain. Who kills Alistair? I couldn't. I could not kill Alistair. No.
That's what happened. A lot of
There's
people.
a lot of good shit. Oh man, for anyone out there, if you have not played it with Alistair as a warden, where you talk to him and he like romanced your warden and shit, if you want to like hear him like fan service you super hard and just talk about how great your warden was, enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's the only one that does it.
Or even funny.
Liliana does it. Liliana does it.
Or even funny enough, if you go ahead and when the Nightmare Demon's taunting you all, at one point he even taunts Alistair if you have Alistair with
that
you.
was great.
He's like, "Oh yeah, it's the shameful bastard who turned down the crown out of fear."
It's like double failure, and I was like,
And then he just turns around and he's like, "Really? Is that the best you can do? Morrigan's hit me with worse."
Yeah, it's so good.
That sounds like
Like Morrigan's
it was
way
the
worse.
worst.
Okay, can I just tell you that I was super bummed that they didn't get to see each other, Morrigan and Alistair. I was robbed. That
I heard there was a way that you can get the two of them interact. I think there may be a video out there for it.
Oh,
because that's his kid, by the way, that she brought over.
Could be.
He never got to meet his kid. He just went to Wise. I'm like, wait! Before you go to the garden.
See, according to Maury Povitz, it was actually my warden that was the father.
I see. You are the father. Good shit.
But yeah,
Well, who's the dad?
that was also another important thing. So after that all goes down, you end up you have the whole decision with the ball. That was kind of a pain in the ass for a lot of people, because at least for the people who like me who are absolute perfectionists, completionists, they're like, I have to be 100% approval at this ball. And if you're anything other than human, you already start at a disadvantage, because
Man, the elf?
Orlais is
Yeah,
filled with nothing
Like
but a
negative
bunch of
20.
racist.
It's like, oh shit. At least you don't end the game right there. Because supposedly, if you get down to 0, you end the game.
Yeah.
So,
And Orlais is just filled with a bunch of racist assholes. So of course, if you're anything other than human, they're just like,
Oh,
Ooh,
P.S. Negative
high
10 from a
face.
mage. They don't like mages either.
So even better. So if you're like a Dalish mage,
Yeah.
you're just
Oh, oh. Could you imagine what a Canary would do? I imagine they don't like Canary.
So I managed to ace it because I know how to play those dirty Frenchmen's game better than they can. So I was able to get 100% approval. But it's also very important to explore, especially if you're going for either the outcome that Kat went with, to where you have Briala, Celene, and Gaspard all ruling together, or if you went for the outcome that I went with, which was getting Celene and Briala to go ahead and reconcile with one another, and having Celene rule, but Briala becoming a noble and kind of helping out with that situation as well.
Is
Uh,
there any
I had,
Gaspard love out there?
I don't think there's
I
any
had.
Gaspard love out there. If there is, go ahead and make sure to put it in the comments so we can ridicule you. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody has their own
I think the
decisions.
only reason I liked Gaspard, and I felt like, and a lot of your advisors like Gaspard, like Colin likes Gaspard, and I was listening to Colin, but I couldn't go with Gaspard because it says in no uncertain terms, like a few people say it, like if you make Gaspard ruler, he's going to attack Ferelden again,
Yeah.
and like no,
No,
because I'm still, even though my character's from the Free Marches, apparently, I am still Ferelden at heart. I'm sorry.
and I mean
Never
he's a great military leader, but the problem
exactly.
is, like you, just like you've already pointed out, the second it's all said and done, it's like, all right, so let's attack Ferelden now.
So Empire, right? It's like no, no.
So yeah, if you explore, you can go ahead and by finding the hollow statues, which were a pain in the ass for everybody, and getting
Yes.
into Celine's vault, you could find that locket, and that's kind of the key to getting that outcome. Otherwise, you can choose each one. Each one kind of affects the political situation in Orlais. Rasmus, what did you go with for your choice?
I went Celine ruling by herself, mostly because I read the books and I knew how bad has she like she knew how to rule in the
And
and
I think a lot of people say that.
I
and
mean,
I
she
felt
lasted
like
this long. She must know
Yeah,
something.
the way
yeah.
she was portrayed in the game wasn't as good as the books. I'm gonna be straight honest. She was, and I was disappointed afterwards when I did a choice because I was like, man, she wasn't like I had decided pretty much before the ball that I'm like I'm pretty much going to go Celine because of the books, but
To which,
second time I actually went with Briala controlling Gaspard. So
we actually meet Morrigan at the ball, and you find
Yes.
out that she's the advisor of Celene. And no matter what the outcome is, as far as who's ruling, Morrigan goes with you because she's,
yeah,
Yes.
of course, looking for the Illuvion, trying to get it before Crifius, or at least that's what she says to begin with.
yeah.
Right.
Which brings us
Yeah.
to the
She
charge.
never talks to Liliana either.
Yeah,
God.
it's
Well,
She should
Leliana
have.
didn't really want to
she
talk to
was.
Morrigan.
Well,
Yeah, no,
yeah. She's like, oh, Morgan's a bitch. I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, whatever. They seem to get along okay in Origin,
Yeah.
well,
right?
it's because it's one of those catty things to where like they're friends to each other's face, but they turn around, it's like fuck her.
Well, no, because like in Origin,
No, I know, because
no.
for in my story it was like that too. But I guess I think what they do is certain
I
things
mean,
you can.
Morgan was mean. Don't get me wrong. She was mean.
Mm.
She's not. I can see why Liliana didn't like her because she was mean, and
Yeah.
Liliana was nice. But then later you talk to Liliana, she's like, oh, she's not so bad.
I
I guess
think
because of the choices I made in the keep, where she had a kid and she, I didn't stab her, stuff like that.
yeah,
So
I
she
think it was based
okay.
on quite a few things.
But I would have liked to have seen them, just like if you walk by and, going to harvest some plants in the arbor, because that's really all there is to do there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, like listening to those two, like have a little catch up would be neat. There's no reason not to. Like, why would they stay away? Because Liliana like her crows that much? I don't know.
and that was another interesting thing. If based on again keep decisions, when you have Morgan there, she can be there with her son,
Hmm.
and it could either be the son can either have the old god soul in him or not, or you might not even have a son together. Again, all based on different keep choices.
I recommend having the son with the soul. It's super interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
and regardless of who's the father, the way I did it though, just because some of the conversations you have with Morgan in regards to the hero Ferelden was just very funny. The way she
Yeah.
seems so, doting towards him, and she even says it's like, okay, well, if you want to, there's actually a war table mission you can get to right to the hero Ferelden
Yeah.
and
Yes.
say, hey, we could use some help, or just like, what's going
What's
on? What
going
are you
on?
up
Yeah.
to? And
And
when she goes,
then
she's
you get
like,
a letter.
Exactly. She's like, I can go ahead and figure out a way to write a letter to him, but he's gonna be smitten with himself, thinking that I miss him so. Which she obviously does. And then yeah, you get the letter back, which is interesting, which will go into one of our theories, or at least the theory that I have, which you find out he's battling the calling. He's
Yeah.
trying to figure out a way to make sure that all Grey Wardens are no longer affected by it. And there's already been quite a few exceptions, like Grand Enchantress Fiona was able to.
Who's dead half the time? Like,
Yeah.
God, but she would have been useful.
She actually no longer is a warden, so they were able to
Right.
go ahead and reverse that. Now, is that ever explained in the books? Because I didn't read
I
it.
believe it is.
Yeah, like they have some sort of like magic bracelet. No, not bracelet.
Is it some architect shit?
Yeah, well, there was a mage from Olay who wanted to take over for Ferelden again. So he basically he was gonna like the architect doesn't really understand betrayal. So the mage from Olay he was always going to betray. He was the
Because the architect was naive about that. They
yeah.
basically trusted
So
that mage full on.
yeah, so what the necklace was I'm going for? They gave the Enchanter of the Circle of Ferelden. So he the necklace he gave everyone necklaces, and the necklaces they sped up your calling. So yeah, so the process was hastened, but the only one wasn't affected was Duncan because he stole an artifact because he was a thief and stole everything at that point. So he was the only one that wasn't affected by it, and I can't remember exactly how but maybe it was because of the baby and the fact that it has the dragon blood in since she was having Kaelin's uh, son. So the
Not
probably
Kalen, but
Well, Merrick.
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 Yeah. No, we knew what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, Merrick. So yeah, so like because uh, Calanhad is the name of
Callahan.
the great ancestor, whatever. Yeah, he drank dragon blood, and that's why they call the blood of dragons or whatever. It's one
The
in the graphic
Theron
novels.
bloodline.
Yeah, so they have dragon blood. So I'm thinking that is probably the theory going for here that kid healed Fiona,
Yeah.
or that's
I'm into that.
Which is still interesting because then you also have other instances where people circumvented the calling altogether, like Avernus. Of course, a lot of his research was unethical, but not only was he able to stop the calling for himself, but he also unnaturally expanded his own life.
Like
Let's be
we
honest, he
have
didn't
blood,
look good,
but it's sort of like blood magic, right? With
right? It's got to be
yeah,
blood.
so
Every time
yeah.
it's something weird like this, it's always blood magic, right?
Well,
Even the joining is blood magic.
yeah, the joining is definitely blood magic. I mean, anybody who tries to be naive enough to think otherwise, it's like, no, it's the only way it could really work. There's not.
It's the good shit. I mean,
Yeah,
every
yeah, I
time
mean,
something
like
amazing happens, it's fucking blood magic.
Which is
yeah,
funny
yeah.
because I was so against blood magic in the previous games, but again, that's what I really like about Inquisition is I am all for things being black and white, but I can also appreciate shades of gray. It doesn't always have to be one or the other, and they
Yeah,
definitely, especially speaking of Solus, you
yeah,
kind of realize that blood magic can actually have a lot of applications that could be beneficial to people, not power-wise. It's just that for some reason everybody's like, oh, instead of doing
yeah,
something good with blood magic, like healing disease and helping
yeah,
people, let's use it for some really dark, twisted shit. Power,
mm,
Yeah, just some
nah.
really selfish shit. I think that's the problem. Is the really
yeah.
selfish shit.
And
But
because
Yeah.
the Chantry had made it taboo, so was also the part of the reasons, right? Like
yeah, no,
Solons was saying, like they made it so like that is forbidden. So some people also crave to do forbidden
Because
oh
it's
stuff
yeah,
too.
it's
awesome.
don't
That's
push
why.
don't push the red button. People are gonna
Yeah,
want to push the red button. But at the same time, it's because it still does come at a cost. Because whenever you have magic of any kind of that massive degree, it's always going to come at a cost, and you become more susceptible to possession or kind of demons kind of crossing into the veil. You basically weaken the veil every time you use blood magic because of how powerful it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason why Chantry is like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. But then it came to a point where they're like, no, you're just not allowed to do that. But that kind of, uh,
then you think about Teventer, right, where they use it all the fucking time. So that's why I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
bringing in Dorian was an interesting character who was Teventer, and like people don't like him just because he's Teventer, and you can hear, and even when you walk around Skyhold, people like gossip about him, like, there's a Teventer here.
Oh my
But
god.
but he's anti-blood magic, which is fine, you know. I feel like the game has been pretty consistent with that in that I don't think you've ever really had a blood mage companion except for Meryl, right?
Yeah, that's really about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and she didn't use it that much, but she also paid for it too because she like
Oh, yeah.
went too far.
No
So
matter
I don't,
what, things.
I don't know, but I liked the inclusion of the Teventer perspective because we learned a lot about Teventer.
Absolutely, and maybe in the next game we might be able to visit Teventer, or at
I
least
would like
have
to
more
at
of a
some
bearing.
point. I would like to. There's a lot of places we need to visit still, right? I feel
Exactly.
Antiva.
like,
Sounds
yeah,
fun.
right. We've got to go to Antiva.
Or-
You know where I want to go really bad is
Rivain.
Rivain.
I was gonna say Rivain.
Sounds so interesting. I want to see Rivain.
But yeah, so the hero Ferelden, based on how you go about it, at least with this canon, you find out is battling the Calling, and it's already been pretty much accomplished by 2 people, so you know it's possible. So it's very interesting to hear that's what they're up to. It's like, hey, that'd be crazy, because then the Grey Wardens would be even more badass and capable of getting shit done. Especially
Right.
because you wouldn't have to worry about them getting enthralled by some crazy ass Darkspawn.
Right. That was definitely a downside of the whole Grey Warden thing was the calling, right?
So yeah, and all coming back, the choice I made is to have them stay. I didn't want to exile them because sure they made their mistakes, but we also needed them. We still have a Darkspawn that's leading them all, so it would be beneficial to have them there, especially if we could try and find a way to maybe help them out because it wasn't affecting all of them the way that it should. Also, again, the whole redemption storyline. And upon asking about the whole Herald of Andraste, knowing the truth, again, my character was spiritual. He was faithful, so just because it wasn't Andraste that pulled him through, that doesn't necessarily mean that it may have not have been divine intervention at one point or another. But he still was unsure that he was still Andraste's chosen, but he said, let them think that because they need this. This is the way for them to be able to continue. They need some kind of hope.
Yeah, I
And-
kind of it's the same. And I also feel like having the wardens, like you need them to still exist. So I don't.
Who else is going to fight the Blights? Because we still have 3 more coming.
I told him to get the fuck
Potentially.
out.
You exiled the Wardens?
I did after I killed Stroud.
So you killed
I mean,
Stroud
the-
and then exiled the Wardens.
Yeah, well, the warden still is going to exist.
And
so,
Blackwell's like,
mean,
I can stay though, right? I'm like, sure. But yeah, before we knew he wasn't a warden, because I already knew he wasn't a fucking warden. And I was like, yeah, of course, so you could say you're not a fucking warden. But no, I only did it because, well, for a few reasons. Because a lot of my people that I had with me a lot were very anti-warden, like Solus, anti-warden.
Oh yeah, he greatly disapproved,
Oh,
and
he hates the
I greatly did not
wardens.
give a fuck.
Right, I was just like, damn, all right, because he's usually pretty cool with everybody, even with like Cassandra and shit. He loves Cassandra, but like he did not like the wardens. And I guess like when you know,
Killing
when
the
you have
gods.
that little, yeah, when you have that little like marker where it says like what the implications will be of your choice, it's like they may be corrupted. I'm like, oh shit, I don't need that. So
Yeah,
it's the
I took
idea
my
that
chances.
They're still hearing the Corypheus, and I just didn't need later on to fight whatever he brought, and then the wardens too. So I just, and it's like, to me, it's like temporary. It's like until this is done, get the fuck out.
Well, which pisses me off because in the war table missions, I think that's another thing is the beauty of the war table missions is you really need to be careful. Sometimes the progression you take with
Especially as a
multi-tiered
Dalish.
missions.
Am I right, Rasmus?
Yeah.
With the, oh, you can get your clan killed 7 ways to Sunday if
Yes.
you're not careful.
Now the funny thing is with the
I
ward
didn't cheat on that shit.
with the
I was like,
wardens, I don't know if there is another outcome. If there is, go ahead and let me know in the chat, especially how it's done. But I've heard so far that no matter what you do, all the Grey Wardens that went with you from Adamant that didn't split off, but the ones that joined the Inquisition, all die by the time you finish all the war table missions.
Really?
They get basically ganked by Darkspawn. Like mission after mission after mission, they kind of just get whittled down until they're all dead. Not all the
Okay.
wardens, because not all the wardens at Adamant join the Inquisitions, but all the ones that did are done.
Okay, I did not know that.
So yeah, that's definitely.
They-
See,
they
again,
got-
all
they
these
got the
interesting
fuck out.
things.
I saved their lives, Anthony.
Hey,
All
no.
the wardens.
Hey, wait. The Grey Wardens are still alive in mine too. Just the ones that joined the Inquisition are dead. Totally different
All
thing.
those guys are alive in my first bid. They got the fuck out and went to I don't even know where.
So yeah,
By, yeah, or-
Weishaupt, right?
yeah.
what's up?
You're welcome,
Uh,
Wardens.
Then we have, of course, after speaking with Morgan, finding out that, at least from what she says, that Griffiths is after an alluvion. Because that would be his next ticket into the Fade, because,